Ugieni Madonna, Imazedion, Orero, Obesni Agbo, Manazo, or Ugieni Madonna.
You will have to serve the community for 30 years before you come to this stage. They will ordain you ordain title. Then by then you are one of the elder.
This year now, we don't read the year, so that's why we can do this year.
Historically, joining the Elders Council, an individual must have reached a certain age and must have made significant contributions to the community through leadership, service, or other meaningful ways. There was jubilation in the community as sons and daughters of Okada, both at home and in the diaspora, trooped out to be part of the ceremony with various hymns of the initiates agog with festivities. Friends and well-wishers of those initiated into the Elders Council jubilated at the Ogwedion after performing all traditional rites. The elders, known as Edion, in company with their loved ones, danced to their various homes where guests and family members were entertained.
ITV, certainly the best.
ITV, certainly the best.
On independent television and radio here in Benin City, and the program is Hitches and Voices. Don't forget, Hitches and Voices comes to you courtesy of Network for the Advancement of People with Visible Disability, NABVID. NABVID is a known organization here in Edo State that is advancing the rights of persons with disability, not just in Benin City, but in Nigeria at large. This program, Hitches and Voices, is coming to you live on independent television and radio simultaneously. So we want to say a Happy New Year to our TV audience and a very Happy New Year to those who always find out time to listen to us on radio. My name is Kingsley Okoje, and my guest for today is the Executive Director, NABVID, Melody Omosa Esquire. Melody was with us on our Christmas edition, and today he's with us on our New Year edition. Melody Omosa, welcome once again to Hitches and Voices.
Thank you so very much.
It's always a delight having you on the program.
Thank you very much, and Happy New Year to you, and Happy New Year to our viewers and listeners, our followers on Hitches and Voices.
I will not forget to mention our sign language interpreter for today is Olayinka Constance Davis. She's the one doing justice to our deaf community on the program today. Like I said, it's our New Year edition. It's 2026, and I don't even care if I say it so many times. Once again, Happy New Year. We all are looking forward to this year to be a great year for everyone. That is not excluding the disability community. Last week on this program, the Executive Director, NABVID, tried his best to take us through a roll call of some of the achievements that the community of persons with disability enjoyed in the year 2025. And he is also optimistic that the year 2026 will indeed be another great year. But on the program too today, we'll try our best to also show you how NABVID decided to put smiles on the faces of persons with disability during the Christmas celebration. We'll take a clip from that event just to show you that NABVID is indeed in the business of putting smiles on the faces of persons with disability in Edo State. But on the program today, we're just going to project into 2026. I want to know what the community of persons with disability in Nigeria and indeed in Edo State, what they should look up to in the year 2026. And my very first question, of course, would be, What should we be looking forward to in this year 2026?
All right, thank you so very much. Again, Happy New Year to our followers on Itches and Voices. And I'm glad that we have a brand new year before us, a gift from the Almighty Himself. And as an organization, we're optimistic that this year will be a great one, and some of the things that we're not able to do in the past years, we should be able to record some very remarkable and significant successes this year, as far as deepening issues of inclusion and guaranteeing access for persons with disabilities in the polity generally. And that's our expectation, our prayers, and our work this year, to deepen advocacy, to elevate advocacy so much so that persons with disabilities will find respite in society, being able to be counted and being able to be mainstreamed into governance and development initiatives in Nigeria. All of what NAVID will be doing in 2026 will be centered around that. And I'm glad, like I said last year, we have a commission for persons with disabilities in Edo State. You know very well that we have one at the national, but Edo State was able to join the bandwagon last year when in March 2025 a commission was inaugurated. This is the first year, full year, that the commission will be operating. In fact, the first time they will have a budget to their name. So we'll be excited to see, we'll be looking forward and excited to see what the commission will do for persons with disabilities. But as a non-state actor, which NAVID is, we are going to be holding the commission and other agencies of government accountable. We are ready to collaborate where we can and also hold them accountable, pointing them to what by law and by the law of the land, which the Edo State Persons with Disability, and by other framework, both legal and administrative, what they should be doing for persons with disabilities. So that's what we're going to be doing in 2026 in the various aspects, just to be sure that people with disabilities have their fair share of governance in 2026.
All right, I know over the years, or in the past 1 year, you've tried to partner with the Commission to give the Commission a good start. But I would like us to take it one after the other. Let's look at the area of education, which I know NAVID is very, very particular about. Education, like you always say, is a leveler for persons with disability. In the area of education, what would you want the Commission to do as regards to education for persons with disability in Edo State?
All right, before now, we have not only advocated for the education of persons with disability, we have actually practically bear some of the burden of seeing to it that we do not only talk about education, but also going, if you like, out of our way, out of the normal call of advocacy, to providing scholarship grants for persons with disabilities and assisting them with devices that will aid their education, such as providing laptops, computer, up to wheelchairs for those who need it. Because you say education, a lot of things, there are a lot of variables for
that
persons
would aid
with
education.
That would, yes, a lot of variables. You are not just talking about reading and writing. Before you talk about that, one that is physically challenged, for instance, we need to be able to access the classroom, and where he doesn't have a wheelchair to do that, the education cannot happen for that individual. NAVID has not only talked about this, but we've gone out of our way to providing some of these assistive devices for persons with disabilities. We've also in the past advocated for a kind of tuition consideration for persons with disabilities in state-owned tertiary institutions, because at the time we found it quite challenging and demanding that we will go all out to source for fund for the education of persons with disabilities, and at the end of the day pay same fund to government institutions for children with disability to have access, knowing fully well that these institutions by themselves have barriers that would otherwise prevent the persons with disabilities from enjoying the facilities provided by this institution on an equal basis with others. For instance, I just mentioned sometimes we have to acquire wheelchair for persons with disabilities, right? You have a wheelchair as one that is as a user of wheelchair, and you get to school, there are no ramps, you have to find a way to access the classroom, you have to find a way to spend a lot of money to provide some of those things for yourself, which the institution ordinarily should be their responsibility. At the end of the day, you pay the fee that other students pay. You pay the boarding fee that others will pay. But yet there is no form of succor or relief for you by way of what government provides. All of that has been done. We've asked that, there should be some form of rebate. We have also gone ahead to even develop for the Edo State government an education roadmap on how education can be brought closer to the people, persons with disability, progressively in a 10 years duration plan. All of that we have done just to ensure that education is accessible to persons with disability. But we now have a disability law that has made education, if you like, compulsory for persons with disability from primary to tertiary level. So our advocacy has paid off. There is a law and there is a commission. What we want to see that the commission does is to liaise with those in the education ecosystem, the Ministry of Education, the State Ministry of Education, the State Universal Basic Education Board, the Board for Technical and Vocational Education, the Senior Secondary Education Board, all of these in the education sector, to find out what they have, their programs, how relevant, beneficial, and adaptable it is for persons with disabilities. So it's time for government to begin to look at their programs, look at their policies, and in this light, the commission should be seen leading that, because that is the mandate. That is their mandate. The law has saddled them with the responsibility for the education of persons with disabilities, and those who are the primary provider of education for the citizenry and residents of Edo State, the Ministry of Education and other like agencies. Government, and by that I mean the Edo State Commission, should engage them to ensure that their policies, their programs, their activities have persons with disabilities inclusive in those programs, so that you do not say that, education is free, generally speaking, by the Universal Basic Education Law for the first 9 years of the educational journey of any child. Yet, there are no inclusive schools where persons with disabilities can access across the 18 local government areas of Edo State, for instance. So the commission, it's high time they started talking about this, and not just to talk, but to actually ensure that the relevant agencies of government does the
needful in this
regard.
Let's be very practical about this now. I know that, like you said, NAVID had designed a roadmap for inclusive education for the Edo State government. You did that quite well some time ago. I know that document contains some short, medium, and long-term strategy to make education inclusive for persons with disability, because we know that the universal law makes it compulsory for children generally, but the challenge that persons with disability are faced with is the issue of access to education. But what, in your view, would be a quick fix? Because we have a situation where the only primary school for people with visual impairment we have in Edo State is just one. It's in Benin here. A lot of children don't have access to it. And I'm aware that there was a bus provided to commute students to school. That bus has been down for quite some time. I'm also aware that students in Idia College will have to pay for their hostel fee, and most children with disability can't afford this, and as a result, they are out of school. What, in your view, would be the quick fix for the commission to sort out some of these issues that persons with disability in Edo State are faced with?
All right. The persons with disabilities should have access to education at the same level that their counterparts without disabilities should enjoy presently. As to quick fix, the first thing is for the commission to undertake an assessment of what is happening presently. And you mentioned that there is one school. I understand that there are about 3 or 4 others which are actually moribund. There were arrangements for some schools, they designated, but of course they do not have teachers, and so they are not able to admit children that should access those schools. But the problems you've just mentioned, having a vehicle that has broken down, having children not being able to pay for their accommodation and all that, the commission should see what is happening presently, take it from where it is, ensuring that what already is on ground, it's working, and take it from where they meant it to take it to the next level of incrementally increasing the participation of children with disabilities in the education space. It's not going to happen overnight, automatically, yes, but we will be satisfied if there is some form of progression in this regard, that this is what is. We ensure that what is happening presently is sustained, and you now want to take it to the next level of, okay, this is what we can achieve in 2026. Going forward in another 2-3 years, we should be able to do this, and that plan needs to be clearly spelled out.
Fantastic. We'll go over to the issue of employment, but before we do that, we'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, Hitches and Voices continues. In case you're joining in, the program is Hitches and Voices on independent television and radio. Like I always say, don't forget we are on independent television and we're broadcasting on independent radio as well. My guest is Melody Omosa, and he is projecting into the year 2026 what he expects the Edo State Disability Commission to do for persons with disability. And he talked on education, the intervention he would want the commission to do in the area of education. Let's move to the area of employment. That's one area NAVID is also very particular about. What would you expect the commission, and what would NAVID also be doing in this regard?
Well, for NAVID, we would work collaboratively with the commission to seeing that employment, as far as persons with disabilities, happen for those who are so qualified. I often would say that disability qualifies nobody for employment, but society will be irresponsible after you see your children or your citizens or residents with disability, with all the odds, go through school, properly trained, qualified, and are left to suffer, used very advisedly because from lack of employment. How else can they be encouraged? We will work with the commission to see that at least positive step is taken in that regard. But if there's one thing that I know the commission is already doing, they have this in mind and they've already started engaging. I'm aware, for instance, that the commission has met with the State Civil Service Commission and also with the Local Government Service Commission in the state, reiterating, emphasizing the need to prioritize the employment of persons with disabilities in the state. And so I'm confident that now that they have that in their agenda and they are following through, we will also just work to see that, yes, what needs to be done whenever there is employment opportunity, people with disabilities are not left out in that program. I am confident that this would work because this administration thus far is demonstrating readiness to accommodate persons with disability in the state, in the civil and public space, in the Edo State Civil and Public Service. Recall that only last December, there was a standalone employment from one young lady, a physically challenged lawyer, who just got called in September last year. And when in December a request was made for immediate employment to encourage her, encourage her resilience and determination and brilliance, government wasted no time in approving an employment. And I can also report that she has actually resumed work. Her letter of employment has been given to her, and she has resumed job.
A big shout out to the Edo State government for making do their promise to employ Kindness Dausa, a fiscally challenged girl. I recall that Navid made a case for her during our third Rights Above Charity lecture, which took place on the 3rd of December, and government moved swiftly to give that young lady employment. These are the kind of things we want to witness in Edo State, inclusive governance, and the government is smashing action with words. That's fantastic. But we'll take a break from all of that. Like I said in my intro, Navid did a palliative disbursement to some persons with disability just to make them feel the moment of Christmas, and that was indeed a delight to see. We'll go to that video now. We'll come back. We'll continue our conversation with the Executive Director, Navid. We'll be back.
I want to welcome you to this 2025 palliative distribution by Navid, a token for Christmas. First, we want to thank God Almighty for sparing our lives, that we are here in spite of everything that we've gone through this year. So
and I want to also say thank you to Navid for this palliative in order for us to be able to have a beautiful Christmas. Thank you so much, and God bless.
That's how we roll at Navid. A big shout out to Navid for always doing what they know how to do best. But in rounding up very quickly, I would like to move to the area of awareness. The law is here, the commission is here. But what's not so much present is the issue of awareness. How much do people know about the law? I'm aware that the law provides a moratorium period for people to adjust public buildings, for example, when it comes to building code, making public building accessible for persons with disability. I would just like you to touch on these few areas very briefly, and looking forward to 2026, how Navid tend to partner with the Commission in terms of awareness about the law and the Commission.
Well, the relationship between Navid and the Commission presently is symbiotic, and I think that we are emphasizing on the awareness. The law clearly mandates the Commission to create awareness about its existence, and the Commission will be encouraged to follow that part of the law so that persons in the society will be aware of the disability law and what their responsibilities under the law is. And so, yes, there's a moratorium of 5 years, and awareness will be created.
No, but it's like the state law is 3 years.
You don't wait. It's 5 years also.
All right.
You don't wait for 5 years before you start sensitizing the people and before the steps that need to be taken for modification of public buildings will be taken. Yeah. So we'll work with the Commission to create the relevant awareness.
2026 promised to be a very good year for the community of persons with disability in Edo State and in Nigeria at large. We know it's also going to be a campaign season, a campaign year moving towards 2027. And we hope the disability community in Nigeria will be part of that conversation moving towards 2027. It's a wrap on the program today. We'll do this again next week. My name is Kingsley.
Perhaps before I just, let me also thank the founder, management, and staff of ITV. It's the very first edition for 2026. They've been our very big partners. So kudos to them. Wishing all of them a very happy new year and a prosperous one at that.
We know ITV is very disability friendly, so shout out to ITV management and staff as well. We'll do this again next week. Today, my name is Kingsley Okoje, saying spot the hitch and be a voice.
certainly the best. ITV, certainly the best.
the man went out to bring in thugs to come and beat her.
Yeah.
In a situation like that, do you think women would have seen that and still want to speak?
Really, we're talking
That's
about.
what I said. So
that's-
when they bullied her,
Yeah.
now, if she's not bold enough, she will shut up.
What is your advice for folks out there that are so desperate to be married?
We women, we have to be really intentional about our parenting.
If you know a child is being abused, or you see signs, a bruise or a child, it has to be investigated.
People barely even breathe when they are going for a shrebi and something.
Party.
You have to be
They can't
smart.
sit
If
down.
you see where they are dressing them up or dragging on both sides, you cannot you cannot breathe. And these women will stay in those events for hours just to keep up with that beauty trend.
Is that healthy?
That's not healthy.
I am Patricia Uremu Gabriels, and we're reaching you live from our Lagos Network studio. Of course, Women in Conversation is a program designed for women to discuss about themselves.
ITV, certainly the best.
Oya bota now. Ogi bota we say de no pe o. De no wa yire. Waya bupo ogbon na de mala. Maka bo pon salobo aye dagbe ma ya fe. Ya na mi we ohun ma we supuna 2026. You know na ni wa. Awe gbura 2025. Awe gbura ene. Awe ani hu yo. When my nehunia, Nupowe say, Honorable, you know, we dinner. Uki Yasukino, a day I said there, Upoya Supo, Uzola Suzola, Irako Yarwe, the Nania, when I Upo ye, when I am Upo he, you know, Hekenaru, Avi no Bera, Naya Doline, Nala. Ma yeni wa ona ibota already na ibota e kwe ga gboso we we matawa na na ya ka oni oy o khanata we iba ota
eradicate
we gedede ana swi balile uga ni gedegbe na ite palo we na iba na tutayi ha eviagayo iba ota oni ma ite ibota na ni wa ya no gwen gwan we na we de na we na mpo na na ore ba go ten re pastor Calvary na mo
iwe dodo go be ise lo gbe wa bi mi ne kai wa bota wa bi danyo wa be dikete ofo so sago wa ya ro oba atokpe
ise ore ba ten re Victor Ibizugbe
Donewu wa donewu somo Owa do na giu ko atemi orere kenu mi o mi na do atiye na gbon bi ma kan wa aye wa ga fi were ga ro opona ga fi were la dagbon ma ya oba atope
ise me o sa bo se je no rie o no rie do ba yo ka ore do ya fe mejo tu wa ya oba atope
ise
eni ma gwa kan ni wa o omuhan ore ukpona yena omuho bo deni bu ya fe na ya gba ore gbima de afi wori ero no keke na ga ukpona ma we ko yinu we ikai de ye we ro na aye we no ga aye we nupo ma we ge atuma no guma go sun ogena ore wa ge pastor Calvary na mo
edodo pe wo
obukan
domono wa makaka botu wide lo pe o ma be pon salobo ye dagme imaya fe unda noragmo owe iselogbe no pa ne we adobosi kino ye kino lobi eyi ona riso we da wi iselogbe mi nu ne aka we ogbe iseno nu da we yin gigu agbonro o we gu agbonro una da me yi mana una ri mana bi ma gbe iselogbe nu e maka abokpon sa obo aye mi nu sa lo ba oni ma ke buwe ona do ri eti ni ma da ya sede na ni ma ya na na goda o na do mi ewe upogbon na la na o sa logo do akeri eti ni ma ya la o eyin ma je na ma pon mo go do anu we edi ma we pon mo go do ani gbi ma we pon ni te ni pe ave ni ko ma we pon ni mo o sa ba ya we ma se oro mo ge pon mo ge so pa ete apon mo go do awe ara mi fore ni are mi mu e oro bi de yiye da dia opono gbera ofomo e osene so pa obe eyi magije na obe we eniyan ka ora ki asun e eniyan mo na ki asun e obe na ya mo egbe ko ye okay na wo mo no re suku ara imiere ogbeda re ara miere e class no ga aye ni re amu esu fo re ye ke re mo egbe opono awo egbe sun e obe ye class obe eye ri ri na ego deni are la mo egbe ko e obe seni e lagbara nu nda o so e eri no na ko we be no ka o na te primary 1 imu pare primary 2 o be ege mi na ke re viore no be gbegbe seni e lagbara e no o ka ga bo mo egbe do mo ne te ti ebe no o gbegbe sika o gbegbe woyo be ni ase ti ya le ogogbon na mie na no lagbara so pa mapo wo do ai ma so yi ugbe amu egbe se de ogogbon na ye wa ri ma fi ude fi agbo ma ye kira ni ama ri ro ke aye wa ma em de bie boti insurance we ja mo igbese oba ga to pe
ise we se obi ye me wa he no tai ama e de ye ima wa gwa pe do no ka pe de no poge vai ma ya gwa na wana so pa bi ro ri aye o sa lo bo adole yi ni ma
ise
agwa ni hu menu we ya mo egbe enwe no sa lo bo ari enwe ni ka wa ri enwe nu miere no gbera nema o ya dolo bonai e no sunu dame e mo ame no a e me go ni ma mie no a e me mi no ma so bo no a e me amadolo wi ese no a e me agun me gbina no a me we me gbe a mi no ma keke ni hu e ga ru a do zan no ga ro eni ya fe ai ya ga ewe ye mama no ro e bona e kina do no a wa do ki e de no miere ki eke fi gbona eke wena eke wariena eke egwena eke milano nudo de renu miewo npo itegba na ya fe aare ya we mama owu na dala ya se gbogbo na ma agwa kaya ni wa otemege bizugbe egun ayo
hedo nebu wa habitota akaka bo se aga wa se kepe ti uwe ni wa dan hel ma ha inu kan na kan pogbo na la na ru da we eri una gawe a ebowe egbon wa ro bere o dibi afi were to ladian ku gba kere una gawe mi opopa emi na be sunu ye ke opopa kan be ya sunu wo ekeru gunya yunupo we gba yo upo na inyanu we mi ewo be no we ka we se ero kan we ase de ga me wa fi were na ga ro afi were be ga re no kan be ga mi ewo doni ugbogbe a ekiwe do a devinu weru bimuna nunwina lu yari ba de agbe tu we ki abore a uwere no kan o ku gbode wo bo kan ra tu we ki wa kan pa uwerere devinu weru bo de wu me nu o ka ke na nu fi igweri e lu ga me nu hu da wo wa na me nu ru e me no ta udo ka wo wa na hiu tiye dolo wa eyi ona se ti ga hiu o ma se ti ga hiu yo te kekan pogbon na we la na ni a ugba mo gbe yo he wa ke ya lupona tu ke wa we mu dia no we ga he emi efe nu he ya wo gwe a abi tu ke ati bo ye mi da na mewe e no ro be ga ladian de ugbo we gbe ayamu ha we yo to ni a zobu kan afi ono ya nwin na bi wo pa kan ko ya rewe emi ni ya obun e ki we do a de ye ke owe already no bo ye ki gbava e ke already no bo we te do umi ewe ki gbu asi gba lo ki upo na we afi were ya abi wu aye we gbe sun e ga we ye re inu ka re we de ge ri onu ufi bo be gure no we ga ro be owe e ba e de le ko iso ire e ga na de na mi ma na e ba na de le na de ye na ta nwina ake yo wa amayu aye e okoko ya adu e iku
ya adu e ku wese
oba atope
ise anyway wada no ta oten mabuwe de oten pastor eso ro o ka no edika e bugbora de kan bible kan yeso la de awo ni ma re hunda e ma so de dan yi ma ga teme so we so pa me e mi no we de e be no wan no salobo ya yiyi na gbe la dia ba we ya ze de wana
domoni wa edo no pe o o salobo ya agbon na ma mi mama e ko to gbaru da ma ko airo awa so pa e so ro no wa to ta bi boku akara ya agwalo ni ero akoro ya koro ina akara emu we ko we aro yi o wa ma wa e koko ya du eku o salobo ba mi mama na ri ne we amako airo we ga o we mu se ni ye o bo na wa ya gbe o segi ne gbe emi ni magwa ka de na e afi weriye we wi yo total we nuwe ogbo wa ya ise we o ga o e ke nu na de so bo mu salobo anu ga ide e ke nu we na de we total wa pa ro nu so ba mari e ko na ya o yo na ya he we emi ni una ima we se nu do de ni la o ze ni mana ma mu so ene soro ne doa ne de total no de mudia o wa bi ebi gba ori eke di ege we emi na ni ewu na ze ne ri ma ya tabare bizugbe we mana ze dia mudia no wo yi onu de mudia wa nyu nyi me egbenu ka nyi upo no gbera e uje be uye egbe sun e medical test e won we eme soro iye we gbe yulu le we e vekri bu de me da o gba kia eme so ke wa so le ikpede va be mi kpo na that on the second ikpede va e de o ka owo ara wa we mi kpo ara ri ba e kini bu ma kie so je be kie o e do o ka oni ikpede ba we so le ne wa we za be ni gbo we mi kpo unda igbo ke we pe do ka oni opa me ukpo ge ba we se ki so le ai be total na we gbe ma we bia we nu kpo du we do bo be mi nu we ma we ukpo na ya ke so igo na ni miela no denya ego ni kaya dweki geni ya deba emi kakye was those over here ebodi nokpo ebodi no pa wa here so me en we do mi mo po ikegba e ko we me ka mo we no ahia mineral na te anyo no fure bai no be de bread ne nokpo o be ya gwale ke no na be de o be o ga ma ne ko ri re ba be ko e no total o yo oye we ni emiere no gbera ni ya wa ya so eki anyo no be de bread ba o no be no fure no be de ba no ya ri o de mama nu we me oni o me ni magwa kana nu da le be no we be ni kata wo pagaro na mi we usesele ke gberi gaje awa go ndo sa obodo oba be da yi ko bo kin se le o usena venya useni venya ni o gba ni ya bori o banu ha o ma se ti ya sa emi ame we mi amudu ni na ti hypertension le ko da soto ogbe yewu ne ema ni ya mu mi go boy na ibo ka de ko we ne magu wa obuwa ero derogo wa ja se ti ya go na emi van we bi ya mo ma do vio ni ya do gaye igo ni na wa me a wo ne na so ye ya so ni na we bi ga ki na na bo o he o se ke no he ni na we ge ni je we na we walking eva na do me ga mo igo ke wu iya renia iya wu ya ge ye ti ni ya do vio me van ni na e Jonathan be e jombu ya do gayi go ni ya ye e dagbe ya gayi go ni ona we ni me wu na i me go ona wo ma wi a me bo wa o we me no pa so pizza go do fi bo pa keka ko de ka ko wa ko de ye me ona wo wa ma en we we na de we ya gwa le ezagodo o ga we kuro ki le gbo e ya ga le ru we ma atu opa ni nu we me ni ya ye abo ga ni o ga tu e o ga ri fone do ka mi e ona gele we we ri o fi gbona gbera gbona we ya khiyo ya asusa emi no mari e mo bo ga wu e o sa ba fi agbe do emi we lapo gbona wu me ma pa be ko enua ulu ya kpabu sere usena obama ya guse ginegbe obama be ya regbo wa sere oba atope
ise anyway obama ya guse ginegbe so na guse sima so na guse suwa usomo no usigo no no yaki na tuto sanudazi enika emi no ibe mane do ya fe no salobo apase yo no nere ibe ma ya se gbe otona mu mami mi mai ya se hotel gelegele ase amanya enia ma hon ya we awa mi mai ma wa viubo ma wa hunwa otono salobo ya yi ma ke pori ade ke go giso ade ma evidence eni ye ma na mi mai otondo ma na mi mai na ite data ere mara we mi guess ma na mi mai wo ki edo no pe wo ma agogbe ma kan owuwe gbe ora la gogo ile na mi mai bi yo we upona mo na ni wa ne do wa ni we kon ne do wa ni bi wi da yin gbere wa gi ma tota na ka bo gba ko towo ekeno te ma la e ile boya mama na te map oro de ara do fie wo lo kekena abre ge na fie wo le de court magiri ma ri court usoro ni ma ho ne no ti ma we gbe enihi na mwa me mai eri ono ni wa zebe no taba imuno sa evi akin go koni na no do du e ki ofigbon no do ado ku po ma jeri aye ri oluwe e ki nu wa do wa do e ina ka inu kan e ki ofigbon nu wa do e ki bari e ki moto e ki no ri akin na ke na we ya jo bona ke ki ivie ni gbe ni vie runa e we do a do ma defio bozo ma la defio ave tutto salobo ayo awe gbewe mama erere we igba you know say o ma na seti asane emo no bio yo webe bozo ma na migo ya mo migo ya ha e temina we temi itewe gba o ma ti we migo no ave ya ha temi no pa olowo udo olowo ani wo ke dege ni afia ya ze so pa ori enwe salobo ari no wa wero ubiere obiro enina o mai oro ipolo apolo no giwa o eya ruwe ni wa egbe emita ma wona da ge we upono gbera na ni maye na na no gbera na da mo he na emi no ye no lowo no hin ara mi no lowo ni ge gbe sunu de mi o do ko isipo na be ni mi ani aya fo so abono ge mi ani fo egbe we o me kina ma o da mi na o me kina dolomo yi o ten bizugbe upogbon na mu he be no ke na ya yin be na ya be lo e magun kan na o be are be no wan o pe ana no wa me ogomade anobu o na mo egbe wi yen keni ehin ari o ke pa o na fi obo ye po o na ri e isele o na ri no pa o na ri isleva na ri no pa o na ri slis na ri na awogomade ai wa ya adu eki o yen de ni ere o o tere na ri slis ona yisi ona ya kiyen ipin isen ya kiyen ipin gbe na ri sleva na ya kiyen ipin ene ya kiyen ipin ipin na ri slo pa na we o pe na yen awo ma lo kin ekonoma ko yo na ya ro ona ya tonu to na ri wo ile yuwe ari na mewo ri ke no yore awa gbo wa da ne kasi wa ma wa be wa ya dweki he na ri pe ipese na na ya bi ipin gbe la na we re ni emi ewo ona we ofun egbegbo ero ogbon ma die si e okin na ri ipin va na ori ipin nere na we ofu egbe emi no ma kan aso obo na ri se de pa na na we yan awa ma nu kin no ro we kan ma ko yi igo we yen to na yi wo to ona ya wo le na we ogbon ma ja dan e okin wusa ti yi kobo ya ki kobe va de ti yen wa ri wo na ya we o be ni go no abie nugbe na ya ton ya yo to ni o pa no me ni ona mi e ona ri ba no me no bun hu do ni de we se ti yi kobo ya ki kobe va we fi were e upogbon awe lana we ni on we ti aye wa ri kobo ye ki gebe ki kobe va de agbe we ga se ti awo ni we ri ke amomo go bi wa
hu da we ohu na egbu ma ya le o re yi ge na o wo yi gbe here du so ti be ga ru na we mi we so we ri no ma no wa gu ge we kan we ga ge we ga ku na we ga gu we de gu we te we ya mo me de gbe we kin no we ri tu we ri no ma hu da we no ri we kai tinumu yo orion enwanu lo o kan ya we la wo da
we se
oba atope
ise e don no ni wan we lupo na ye magwa kana ya se mu gbo ya se ya ugbo nu we mu lupo do ayo po na e ko na mu gbo nya bie wo obo we na o ma se ti ya nwu na wo na o mami e na nwu na no mo sie ni nya ni manama emi no bi nya ri emi na ge ori nya wo ya wo se
o nya
ori e ha do ri oka wo ya egene de matemi tomatoes mai mi ekwe mai mi ehie mai mi ya kolo ugbe ma hunda isia ike mwere na mai ko ni mateka ko o haro ami mahadi ne so wa o emi o ke na fi wo ya ro nedo na mi we emi na here no waga na ma do ma ha we ko o ya ro kere abe bari oba ewi obono abo o de na ya mugbo o da be ni aro o te ha ni avion ni ya mugbo obo sese o te
Domusa. Nala wo edunu pevo. Owe no so ba wa ma. O ke kira ya gia wa. Je we no si ko no ma fe owo ka bi mo na mi ya gbofo onyonyo ko give ai. No ya yo boss do we mo ze ko na ragun. Nala wo eme ni magun akara. O ke ye we na we emi na gba ori yeke. Na ya re mi se na mana muso be na gwaleji ni na mana muso be o de no keke nda ken wete on wese ukpono gbera o ma seba woto bo ye ku wege ebize ni mana wa seba fu emize nda ara no mu egbedo o eke no ri a do bo mi o ma seba o emi ze no mana seba eye ga ki abe do be emize no mana seba ni o ka bo mu egbe be no sun no de na we gbe do sun de na o kwe emi na gba ori yeke na ge kina na de na ge mi ze we mo gbe apowo sa oba we eno ya ma su we lupo no gbe da fun ne so pe ye na e be ri etin we go be o oje be ne upoje oje na ge be wa izeti be una ti e papa ni fo ugwo ni uwo ogbo nu we ni ba nu we ha ke we gbe sun ebi no wo money tari no tam we nu ya tie o emie enu dege enu mie so pa wa gi ma ga ese o sa no ba la ni ma ga deri eke no ba la go da oni ma so pe no aya la go da oni awe ma we na be ipede ne no gbera na ni we amu egbe wa ga kia do afi we ri ebu nyi me so do afi we eri ma no ro wa ma ne gu wa no ro wa go ze bo do no ro wa we akpomo sa oba we unwe lupo no gbera supo na de ba me so no afi we bi gyo wa we no jo wa di de no ko ni e afi okmanike na ku gbe ga ro ne mo we mama e yo to ne a e do ya tie mo ya fe bupo na no ye ne no gbe so no vie so kwa we no ya wa dolo e ogun we ri e no mo panupo oso wa de a eri de a de mama no onu mama yo no ya tie so wa e eri ya no ma de yo na we gbe adolo yi se de mama panu we me even we ukinu we wa mi na wa ya de nyo we wa mi ukinu wa de egede ose ni bun ya ilega we o abe fone e ya be ni aka e ya bun ye gbo we ga gwa le no ri obo no mi e eru we awe gbe ya sopo na line na o ke anu we ke anu po ami obo wa awa kia odo se ke no ke we ke ba nu we wa bi e awa nwa nyo le ra mi ri kia we ga de o ma ni yezu ozo amagi no be no ki amaye we no walumen ami no gwo bariwo eru we awe gbe ya kia po na line na o ke nu we wu yo nu fi we ri e nu we no ya dole dagbon we yi e uda so ro bari yo ri enu ene e na no sai e o sa uno ma o so ro ba no la no geru we se we nu na e we ga fi me we do so agba be fi obo we da we be ni ara manu e oba atope ise
anyway ya iwada yi mai bota ma ye na ni wa we gba ne ye mo pa yo tin
ibude ma yeye owo wa na gbe ude no ya ero emi eyan ri iwuku hu da we na bu wo de na nya we na lele una ga we utila e ma ti e mi ropodopa o ma ti e kwaro we kenu ga aye nupo e kan ya aye po na so pa we na lelugbe ibude na de ko na fi werie aláwọ̀ dá ọ̀rọ̀ agún wẹ̀rẹ̀ èdè ó tẹ̀mú wẹ́ẹ̀rẹ̀ kìnnà ibi eré náà wọn ọba àtọ́pẹ́ yìí.
iṣẹ́ ọ̀tẹ̀mẹ̀ pàṣọ.
dọ́mọ̀sán ẹ̀dọ́ ló pẹ̀ wò èyí máa yá mọ̀ ẹ̀ pọ̀ wọ́n wọ̀nyá mẹ́rin wọ̀nyá dàmí ma wàgí aláàrá fi bọ̀ wèrè ní ìyá dó má ni ma ọba àtọ́pẹ́ yìí.
èyí mẹ́rin yé ẹ̀nọ́sà bọ́sẹ̀jẹ́ ní orí pọ́n wọ̀nyá fẹ́ ayéwé nírun ní sàlóbọ́lá wòwò na fíà gbéra rọ màyà fẹ́ ọ̀rẹ́ ní wọ̀nyá fẹ́ ọ̀rẹ́ ní ọba bẹ́ẹ̀dọ́ yá fẹ́ ọ̀rẹ́ ní wà nọ́nyá wákẹ́ nọ́nyá dẹ́ yá fẹ́ ọ̀rọ̀ náà gbogbo ọdún ẹkì èmi yà ní wàríyá tó bọ́ mu èmo ni yewebe èyà fẹ́ ní lámọ́tò yẹ ìyárìyárì wáyà sọ wa wà ní ìwé fún ọmọ ìnira sùtò wà á fẹ́ wọ́ lọ́mọ ayọ́ sùtò tó wà fẹ́ fẹ́ mi àwọn ní aláwọ̀dọ́ àwọn arọ́ nẹ́dọ̀ yà fẹ́ ọba àtọ́pẹ́
iṣẹ́
ITV, certainly the best.
Sama top presi. Sama top presi. Push it down jare.
Yenu wele ni me wa yele na ga ina so ti mi egewe ina le ti di agun ya ya so mo dion meje èmi pa
oh meje oh my son meje we say oh my dear oh we na bu here ina be aje be do
ina do ba o yes ina do se mo
yes meje we say that menisha we say that menisha oh ina bu here we say what's my dear ise
Comment c'est papa de voici voici
Ça m'a topé. Sama tọ́pẹ́.
Ìṣe ìwàyá kí máa pọ̀n mi sáàmà mẹ́. Ìgbàgbọ́ rẹ̀ ìwàyá kí máa pọ̀n mi sáàmà mẹ́. Ìgbàgbọ́ rẹ̀ wẹ́kùn mẹ́pẹ̀lú ìgbìdé jẹun. Ìgbàgbọ́ rẹ̀
The Esama of Benin Kingdom thanked the new Edion for visiting him and advised them to always abide by the rules and regulations of their new positions. The Esama urged them to indulge in what will continue to bring development and progress to the community.
When I say it's your job, I went to us and I know what I will.
Yes, Papa.
Caliban was in a couple of the wisdom. Who paid you? Who paid you? Baba. Echo one as ever. Ever you lost the letter that we asked about my former. I will wear in it. A joke. Eh, Jonah will. Eh, Jonah Pulu, Pulu, eh, Jonah Nuria, why we go back? But John Way, Gathered in and I had the way. Why we go at the winner, no matter look at
ITV, certainly the best.
ITV, certainly the best.
This is ITV.
Certainly the best.
Up until recently, the issue of mental health wasn't getting as much attention as it is getting today. You know, people focused more on physical health. Okay, so when someone breaks down, they say the person is sick and the person is taken to the hospital for, you know, medical checkup or medical attention. But quite recently, I think more attention has been given to mental health. Someone once told me that, you know, until someone hits the street and starts picking up stuff from the floor, the person is not considered to be mentally imbalanced just yet, especially in this part of the country or in this part of the world. So that's how I would like to welcome you to another amazing episode of Flipside on Independent Television, reaching you live from the city of Benin. My name is Harry Aigboje, and it's my pleasure to have you join me on this episode of the show. We have a very interesting topic before us, and it's something that has to do with safeguarding teens' mental health. Safeguarding teens' mental health. Now, mental health, like I said earlier, is something that has been getting a lot of attention lately because once the mind is in order, every other thing follows. So the mind is like the engine room of the human body. So yeah, that's basically what we're discussing today. And of course, to do this with me is a friend of the house, Abigail Ayobahi, who happens to be a teens coach and an instructor, a teens instructor. It's good to have you in the house, Abigail.
Thank you. Good afternoon, viewers. It's good to be here once again.
Yes, it's good to have you, Abigail. And of course, just like I said, mental health, it's a very key part of human existence. Yes. A lot of times, you know, I think we tend to focus more on physical health. Okay, so let's begin. What are the most common mental health challenges facing teenagers today?
All right. First of all, I would like us to understand the meaning of mental health, because I think there is this misconception. A lot of people don't really understand what mental health is all about. It's just like while I was preparing for the program, so I was discussing with my husband that the topic we are going to be having today it borders on mental health for teenagers. So then he now told me something. He said you just hear some people, young people, they will tell you, oh, I'm having mood swing, and this thing is kind of threatening my mental health.
Yeah.
So it was like, some people don't know that that is that they are calling mental health. Maybe it's a sign of madness, but they will just say I'm experiencing mood swing. But the thing is that there's a lot of misconception about mental health.
Okay.
Like what you said during your introduction, just the same way we take care of our physical body, that's the same way we should also focus and take care of our mental health. Now, what is mental health? The World Health Organization defines mental health as the state of an individual's mental well-being that enables them to cope with the stresses of life, realize their abilities, learn well, work well, and contribute to their community. So just like physical health, mental health has to do with the state of your mind. And as individuals, it is very important for us to take care of our mental health, you know. Restoring our mental health, restoring and preserving our mental health is very important at all levels of life, at the individual level, at the family level, at the state, and at the community level. So it is very important for every one of us to take care of our mental health. Now, when it comes to the issue of teenagers and mental health, you know, the teenage age is a very peculiar stage. It's like a transition period from childhood to adulthood. And like what I will always say, the teenage age is likened to kind of a rough ride, because it is full of highs and lows. There are times whereby teenagers may experience mood swings coupled with the pressure from the academic work, pressure to please their parents, fitting in among their social circle. Then at that particular stage, they're also gaining new experiences, and they're also trying to find out kind of their identity is not yet fully formed. They are trying to find out who they are. Yes, they haven't figured themselves out. They are trying to find out who they are and what they want to be in life. So it is no doubt that as a result of all these complex issues, teenagers may experience mental health issues. Now, to your question, what are some of the common mental health challenges that teenagers of this generation are experiencing? I would say that one of them is anxiety disorders. Like experts says that 1 out of every 3 teenagers are likely going to experience anxiety disorder. And anxiety disorder can take different forms. You know, when you are anxious about something, it can take maybe in terms of when they're in social setting, they feel anxious or they don't feel too confident in themselves. So anxiety disorder is one of the most common forms of mental health challenge that teenagers of this generation are experiencing. Then 2, we also have depression. Depression is also another common mental health challenge. Then attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is also there.
I think I might need you to throw a little light on that. Yeah.
Attention deficit, most times children or teenagers who experience attention deficit hyperactivity disorder are usually easily distracted. They might find it difficult to cope in schools, and sometimes they usually have academic challenge, and because of that, they might be labeled that this child is lazy, this child is not serious, this child is performing below the academic standard for their age. So, but the thing is that such children, they need special attention, they need special care. There's a way teachers can get them to concentrate. So such children, they are easily distracted, even when they might be kind of smart academically, but sometimes they easily forget things. They may know that thing. Sometimes you may even engage them in discussion. You realize that they are sound, but sometimes to put things into writing becomes a problem. So attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Then there is also eating disorder. Yes, eating disorder is also another common form of mental health challenge among teenagers, you know, especially among females, with the media telling girls what they should look like, how their body should look like. Some girls may begin to kind of experience eating disorders such as anorexia, bulimia, and binge eating. Sometimes, you know, when we talk about eating disorder, some people just think it's maybe anorexia alone. Maybe the girl wants to starve herself so that she can look slim or have a kind of slimmer physique. But sometimes there are some people that eat excessively. It's just like a coping mechanism. Like recently I watched I think it was a short video clip on the internet about a particular lady who said she was abused during her formative age. While she was below the age of 8, she experienced prolonged years of sexual abuse, and as a result she started eating excessively. She became a glutton. She said she had this feeling that if she becomes fat, that men will not notice her and they will not find her appealing, attractive. So she started eating to the extent that she became overweight, and it started affecting her health. So along the line she went for therapy and she was able to work on her weight. So sometimes teenagers may eat excessively just to cope with stresses and challenges. Then another one I would like to talk about is bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder is also, when we talk about bipolar disorder, it's like a psychological issue whereby the person has like two contrast identities. There are times where they feel okay, there are times they are normal, and there are times where they feel aggressive. There are times where they will feel aggressive, while there are times where they will just feel normal. So such people, they require medication. It's something that it is not just something that requires
medically treated.
Yes, it requires medication. It's not just something that requires therapy alone. With therapy and medication. They were able to manage the situation. Sometimes these mental health challenges, there are underlying issues. Maybe within the family, the person was a victim of child abuse, or the person experienced a traumatic event. So that will not bring me to post-traumatic stress disorder. Even, sometimes experiencing trauma, maybe the death of a loved one, or maybe an accident. Sometimes, if you've had an accident before, or maybe armed robbers came to your house, there are times that you feel triggered, even when there is no threat around your environment, especially maybe few months, even few days, few months after that experience, there are times you'll be triggered. So
due to the mental damage
so due to the trauma, sometimes some victims begin to relive that moment. It will seem as if that particular thing is happening again. Sometimes they might just wake up from their sleep, they will start shouting, somebody is there, and there's actually nobody there. So that's post-traumatic stress disorder. It can be triggered by maybe a trauma that they experienced. Even sometimes that trauma might have occurred when they were younger, but maybe as a result of the fact that they have not been able to overcome. In this part of the world, it's like we don't really take mental health that serious. Like in developed countries, when somebody experiences a traumatic event, no matter how small or how young that child is, maybe when they were little, they lost their parent, or they experienced the death of a loved one, or somebody
they probably
was shot.
Experienced a violent scene.
Yes, a violent scene. Somebody was shot in their presence. The parents would take that child to see a therapist so that they were able to kind of go through that particular process, so that at the end of the day they'll be able to maintain their sanity, so that it will not have spillover effects on them. But sometimes in this part of the world, people just expect you to get over it. They will just tell you to be strong
automatically.
Yes, there's nothing wrong in telling somebody to be strong, but sometimes you also need to sit that person down and ask them how they feel. Just kind of validate their feelings. Just let them, if it requires them crying, there are times, venting, there are times when you see some people crying and you just say stop crying, and sometimes just let them cry. Sometimes it is very, even doctors or experts will tell you that sometimes crying is necessary. Let them just pass out that particular frustration. But sometimes when you tell them just suck it up, keep it to yourself, they begin to bottle up that feeling and it piles up. So another common mental health
Just before you get to the other one, because I can tell that you actually have a whole lot to say in that regard, but it's still Flipside on Independent Television. We have to go on this break now. When we return, a second guest shall be joining us on the show. Please stay tuned. great to have you back. It's still Flipside on Independent Television, and we're discussing safeguarding teens' mental health. Just like I said before we went on that break, we have our second guest joining us on the show, and she is a teens coach as well, and she goes by the name of Isioma Ubede. It's good to have you in the house, Isioma.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
And it is my pleasure to have you on the show. So before we went on that break, Abigail was telling us the different ways in which, or the different challenges that teenagers, face as regards mental health. Yeah, so you can take it from there.
Okay. The last two I would like to talk about is substance abuse disorder. Substance abuse is becoming a common thing among our teenagers. Our young people, including girls, it's not just restricted to the boy child.
Okay.
Sometimes they use these drugs as a coping mechanism to deal with an underlying mental health challenge. You can imagine that.
So using a mental health problem to deal with a mental health
drugs,
problem.
because they say it helps them to think straight. And at the end of the day, it also becomes
and some say it also helps them escape reality.
Yes,
is that true?
But the truth of the matter is that when that thing kind of fizzles out of your system, you come back to reality, and that particular thing that you're avoiding is still there. So what now?
You were trying to
escape is there. What's the essence? So some teenagers may experiment with drugs and alcohol just to cope with maybe challenging situations that they are having. Sometimes it can be as a result of peer pressure. Peer pressure. Then the last one I'll mention is self-harm. The first time I heard about self-harm, I was like, how can somebody begin to inflict injury on themselves? It was one of my teenagers that she even had a friend who does that, who was she inflicts physical injury on herself. Why? As a result. That's the thing. The thing is that it's kind of a complex situation that even the individual cannot really explain why they have that urge. But I think it comes from a place of low self-esteem, a place of they don't feel worthy, they feel worthless. So it comes from a place of like hopelessness. They can't even explain why they do that. Maybe the person has maybe was a victim of sexual abuse, and they can't really cope with reality anymore. So they begin to indulge in self-harm. Because sometimes some parents may just think they are trying to get your attention, or they're attention seekers, but it's far deeper than that. It's far deeper than that.
Well, I'm hoping that we're able to dig deep into this issue of mental health for teenagers, because indeed you can already tell that it's actually a very deep situation for young people. Now, Isioma, what's your perspective to this? Mental health for teenagers. In what ways do you think teenagers struggle with maintaining their mental health?
Okay, so when it comes to the issue of mental health, I'm very glad that in recent times, a lot of awareness have been created concerning it, because in the past, they usually are pushed under the rug using religious to cover it up. Some say it's just spiritual attack. But today, there's so much awareness of it, particularly among the adults. But when it comes to the issue of teenagers, most people just term it like they're trying to be rebellious. Most just see it as a means of, they're trying to get back at their parents, at enforcing a particular law on them. But it's much more than that, because when we look at mental health, we're looking at both the person's emotional stability, we're looking at the person's ability to cope with stressful conditions, which we know are necessary part of life. We're looking at the person's ability to socialize. So it's not just the issue of, this person is just being depressed, or this person is just being psychotic in terms of symptoms. It goes a lot more than that. And with social media and a lot of information that are flying all around, people now are exposed to a lot more than we had in the time past. And so these are things that are realities that we need to talk about, that we need to create more awareness, particularly within our tertiary institutions and secondary schools.
All right. Now, before you came, Abigail talked about, how mental health, how teens' mental health is affected, by academic pressure. Could you throw more light on that?
Okay, so when it comes to the issue of academic pressure, it's actually real. And both the tutors, their teachers, the parents, the society, we have to do a lot more
Okay.
We have to do a lot more. We have to create this environment that makes the child knows that even if you failed a course doesn't mean you failed in life. Even if you failed an exam, there's another opportunity to try. And who knows, it might just be God's way of directing you to something else that you might be much better at. And so when it comes to the issue of academic pressure, imagine a student that probably is in penultimate year and then fails. And the fear of what parents will say, what society will say, pushes this child into drugs. And ultimately, who loses? The same family, the same society. Because if someone comes to you now and is under the influence of drug and does anything, the person might actually go free because he's acting under the influence of something else. And so it's something that is much larger than what we are looking at now. But we need to create that environment that allows people to try, make mistakes, and get up.
Thank you so much, Isioma. That was a very amazing insight that you brought to the conversation. Now, Abigail, I would like to ask this. Let's take a look at social media. In what ways does social media influence the mental health of young people, teenagers particularly?
Okay. When we talk about social media, the social space is like a double-edged sword. There are a lot of benefits that teenagers, young people can get from utilizing the social media. Teenagers can connect with their peers, they can connect with their friends, they can learn, they can improve on their academics. But the thing is that when it is not properly utilized, it becomes a problem. There's a particular survey that was carried out by the Royal Society for Mental Health in the UK. That survey said that there was a finding that teenagers who make use of social media platforms like Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok kind of have a higher tendency to experience body image issues, loneliness, loneliness and anxiety. And it's not just about the making use of the social media. Sometimes it is the kind of content that they are exposed to. Let's say, for instance, as a young person, you are through with your secondary school and
probably
you
gearing
came,
up for the higher institution.
You are trying to, you are aspiring to get into the higher institution, but due to one particular reason or the other, you have not been able to further your education, maybe financial issues, or you didn't pass, the student didn't pass his or JAM or post-UTME. And they come online, they see their friends celebrating their matriculation. It's even possible that some of them are even celebrating their graduation, convocation, and you are still yet to gain admission into higher institutions. Sometimes you feel like, you begin to feel hopeless, and it's even possible that these people that are celebrating online, you were even far better than them in school. Some of them were the type that teachers would say that this one will not even make it. You are the one. And sometimes when your teachers see you, sometimes you begin to feel self-conscious. I remember,
even if they haven't said anything negative to you.
Yes. Even some like most times, I'm very concerned about my former students when I see them, even in the vehicle. How are you doing? Hope you are in school now. Sometimes some of them, the way they will react, it may show that they are yet to gain admission. So sometimes maybe there will be no time for me to dig further. Sometimes it may make them feel self-conscious that my teacher just saw me and yet I've not been able to gain admission into higher institutions. So it can bring about low self-esteem. And another thing is that one thing that most individuals don't know, even teenagers, is that people only present what they want you to see on social media. People will post when they went out to have fun, they went to the mall.
So it's more of make-believe.
Yes. So people will not tell you their struggles. Sometimes that person you wish you can be like, oh, I just wish I can be like this person. This person is living the life. This person is making it, and I'm just here. I'm here to gain admission. I'm here to get the latest bag. I'm here to get the latest shoe. Oh, look at what this my friend is putting on. It's as if she's not a big girl or he's not a big boy. You might not even know the source of their finance. Maybe they have a rich uncle abroad, or there's somebody, a close relative that is just supporting the finance. You just think that maybe they are doing far better than you. So social media can expose teenagers. When there's a study that research says that teenagers that spend more time on social media are more likely to experience loneliness, isolation, and anxiety than body image issues. Even we as adults, there are times, another thing is that it can also affect the academics, and this can also affect, because when you are not doing well academically, it will affect your mental health. There are times that, in as much as we teachers or educators, we tell students, you are not doing well, you are weak. Some of them feel it. They may not be able to help themselves, but
whenever we talk to them about it, it affects them. Some of them can even tell you that I don't really know why. That's why when Auntie Sema was talking about academic pressure is very real. And in fact, as teenagers are facing that pressure from the school, they're also facing it from the home. In fact, I even think parents are the one that even kind of mount this pressure. There are some parents that are trying to live their dream life through their children. So there are some parents, the things that they were unable to do, they are putting too much pressure. Sometimes for some teenagers, I've been in the educational system. There are some teenagers that are doing very well, but they have low self-esteem. You begin to ask yourself. I have one of my teenagers, then when she told me certain things, and she was like, her parents they think that she's not good enough. Okay. Well, I told her, I said, you are among the best. You are one of the best. She even became like, okay, she's one of the best. Like, I told her, I'm seeing so many potential in you, and all teachers can attest to the fact that this is actually who you are. How come your parents are not seeing this? Because there are some parents that lay more emphasis on the results than effort. Okay. They look at there are some parents, now this is just, students just collected their results now. You will realize that there are some parents, when that child will bring that report card, they will check through. Maybe that child is offering, that teenager is offering, let's say 12 subjects, that child had, let's say 11 A's, they want C. Some parents will not say, kudos for the 11 A's. They will ask you, why did you have that C? Them for having the C. They will ask you, okay, the person that had all A's, doesn't the person have 2 A's? They will not even take it back to, when I was your age, when I was in secondary school, I had all A's from J1 to SS3. So that pressure is real. So it can also affect. Which is probably not even true. It might not be true. So the thing is that even studies will tell you that academic pressure to meet deadlines in school is one of the reasons that teenagers give for feeling unmotivated, feeling tired, feeling anxious. And there are times we parents, we think that when we criticize, when we call them names, that will motivate them. The truth of the matter is that when you begin to criticize that child, they'll feel like, what's even the essence? They have been calling me names, so let me just begin to leave it. Let me just, in fact, they said nothing good will come out, then why should I even try to put in effort? But by the time you begin to affirm that child, you begin to validate their feelings. I'm not trying to say that you should just leave them to themselves. No, that's not the point I'm trying to make. As you are talking to them, also draw them closer. Extremes are very wrong. Don't be too relaxed. Then don't put too much pressure. Like Auntie Isioma said, there are some people that will excel beyond or outside the academic framework. And there are some children that are late bloomers. Like, though, as an educator, I used to tell my teenagers, it's like, if you're a teenager, and you are still not doing well in SS1, SS2, SS3, you are the problem. You are your own problem. You can't blame your parents. For younger children in J1 and below, you can say maybe sometimes the motivation is not there. You need to put them through, assist them. But for teenagers, if you are not doing well academically, your parents are paying your school fees, you don't have any excuse to give.
All right. Thank you so much, Abigail. That was quite a lot. I would like to ask you, Isioma, what are the ways that parents can identify early signs of mental health challenges in teenagers?
Okay, so the first thing I would want every parent to do is, particularly during this period of holiday, it's very glaring that a lot of demands, multiple streams of incomes requiring your time, but you need to make out time to be friends with your children. Because it's only what you actually observe that you can notice when there are changes. If you've never really had that time with the child, you won't even know when there are changes. So you need to get time to know them. This time is not you saying, bring your result, bring your notes. Just let's gist and talk. In between those gist and talk, you will get to realize what these children are facing, what their challenges are. And then secondly, something else that parents can do is, please don't be afraid to let them know where you made mistakes. It helps them.
I think that's speaking to what Abigail said a moment ago about some of these parents setting unrealistic standards for their children.
Yes, that's the word. So there are times where you know that, oh, as a parent, I also faced this, but this is what I did, or this is what I did not do, which I think you can learn from, so that you don't repeat that same mistake. That way the parent is able to help that child navigate. Because one thing about the modern parenting is that, unlike in our time where you tell them, do this, now you are guiding them, but they make the decision, so that whatever decision that they make, they also bear whatsoever consequences come with it, and they are motivated when they see their decisions yielding fruitful results.
Thank you so much, Isioma, for that very brilliant analysis. It's still Flipside on Independence Television. We're talking about safeguarding the mental health of teenagers. We shall be going on this break now. The program continues afterwards. Please stay tuned.
ọba àtọ́kọ̀ ẹ̀ ìtumọ̀ ẹ̀wọ̀ àwọ̀ ìpínlẹ̀ ọ̀.
Yes, welcome back. It's still Flipside on Independence Television, and we're discussing safeguarding the mental health of teenagers. Isioma, you were talking about the ways that parents can identify the early signs of mental health challenges in teenagers. So, are there other ways?
Okay, so the other ways you can actually identify early signs of mental challenges in teenagers is when you see a child who previously is extroverted suddenly want to be introverted. Withdrawn. Or you notice a certain feeling of, how will I put it, a flip. Either one who is also introverted deciding to now be this extra extroverted. So, and again, another way you can notice it is when a child overly wants to cover up or wants to keep things to him or herself.
Yeah.
So, but most of these things, like I said earlier, depends on the way in which you relate with these children. That's how you can easily identify it. And many of the times, it's easier when you and these children actually have a relationship going. So, aside the fact that, oh, you provide for them, who are their friends?
Okay. And I think that's one part of the whole conversation that a lot of parents don't pay attention to.
Yes. Yeah. So who are their friends? Is there any new addition to the clique that is suddenly making this child change? Have you done some kind of background check to know? Or was there any change in the teachers, even in the classroom? Because actually, there are times when the teachers are changed in school and it affects the child's own confidence.
Okay.
Their
a change of teachers.
Yes. It could actually affect their confidence level. It could actually even lead to even greater motivation for the child. So it can be either way, but the parents need to be very keen on observing these children. And when it comes to teenagers, aggression never works. It never works. Don't even try to say,
what do you make of the biblical injunction that says the rod of correction?
Okay.
It's not even aggression.
Okay. So when the Bible is talking about the rod of correction should not be far, it didn't actually tell you that it has to be a rod, like an iron rod or a physical rod.
Okay.
So there are different ways in which you can do corrections. When it comes to the younger children, if you decide to flog a bit, it's fine. But for a teenager, imagine me trying to hold an 18-year-old boy and say, you know what, today I'm going to flog you. It's possible we chatter that kid if it's been nice. Or decide to say, you know what, let's get it physical, and at the end I'll act.
True.
So that doesn't even work with teenagers. So, but at this stage, there are times where you can decide to say, you know what, let's do it like this. have this result, have these goals that you have set for yourself. If you're able to achieve it, you get more time on your gadgets, or you are able to control the timing. But most especially, if you notice any changes and there are things you can talk to the child about, please talk to the child. But when there are things that you cannot, please seek professional counselors. They are trained to be able to manage some of those things and be able to identify some warning signs that you might not see. I'll give you an instance. So there are times that, so based on my profession, I'm a pharmacist by training. Okay. When people make use of drugs, there are times they are overly calm. They are not aggressive. But there are repetitive habits that make it consistent with use of drugs. So for instance, if I walk into a place and every morning, every single, at a particular time of the day, I need to make use of the restroom, could be a warning sign. But you who are not within that line might not be able to identify it. Yes. There are times even when children take even something as simple as Coca-Cola, but they are drugged. And you just notice this child is constantly with that bottle. If you even try to collect it, there's this little resistance. That's a warning sign. But if you are not within the field, you can't. And that's why I always tell people, there are reasons why these people are around us, so that we can provide support for such cases when you can't identify, or when you identify but you are not so sure.
Thank you so much, Isioma. That was a very eye-opening one. Now, Abigail, what role should schools play in promoting mental health awareness among teenagers? Schools, because she made mention of the role of schools in all of this. So, what do you think schools can do to create more awareness, for teenagers to be able to deal with their mental health challenges?
Okay. Firstly, I would like to say that one way the school, in fact, there's a lot of role that schools can play. Children, if you look at it, they spend more time in school than, because you have 3 months in a particular term. Yeah. First term, second term, third term. Yeah. You understand, in a session, in one session. So most times, and there are even some children from, let's say 8 a.m. to like 4 p.m. they are in school. There are times, even sometimes the children will get home before the parents. So sometimes the parents, that's why, like Auntie Isioma said, parents should spend more time, get to understand your children. But there are times, there are things that parents might not be able to pick up on, maybe at home, maybe due to the busy schedule of the parents. Then the teachers will be able to pick up on those particular issues, maybe mental health issues or emotional challenges that a particular teenager is going through. I'll say that the first step, or the first role that schools can play in identifying mental health challenge or kind of helping teenagers cope, is for them to introduce mental health literacy to core subject, maybe like in civic education or national values. And
so you mean
yes,
based on your experience as an educationist, right?
Yes,
that hasn't yet been achieved.
It's there. It's actually there. Okay. It's actually there, but there's a saying that emphasis, you keep on emphasizing on something. So aside from it being in the curriculum in a particular subject, there's a way they can also introduce it to maybe another subject. There's a time the children keep hearing it, it becomes part of them. So by the time they keep on hearing things that has to do with their mental health, seeking support, talking to your loved ones or talking to your school counselor, understand? So when they are having challenges, it will give them that a kind of motivation to open up to somebody. So what schools can do is that they can kind of teach these things, maybe during assembly, maybe during, because in some schools they have what they call gender class, gender assembly, where they talk to the boys and they talk to the girls. They can introduce the topic for them. Then another thing that schools can do is for schools to train teachers, to train the educators on how to identify early and warning signs of mental health challenge in teenagers, and how to kind of refer them to the appropriate authorities, because not all teachers, not all educators are equipped to handle such challenges. Like I normally tell my teenagers, I say sometimes there may be something you are going through. Just seek out a support. At least you must have a support system within your circle. Even if you don't trust anyone, there must be somebody you feel free, like your spirit aligns, agrees with that person. That person might be your teacher. That person might be your Sunday school teacher, but you just feel free with this person. So
could even be an older friend.
Yes, an older friend. Yes. So schools should kind of train their teachers on how to identify the early warning signs. Sometimes you might notice that this this child that used to is always participating in class is now suddenly withdrawn. Okay, I remember there was this case of an 8-year-old girl. My friend shared it with me that the girl, her parents were living abroad or something like that, her mom. So the mom had other children in Nigeria and brought her, she was born abroad, brought her down to Nigeria and said, I want you to kind of be close to your siblings. And at the end of the day, somebody started abusing her within the family that she was living with around the age of 8. Then when this girl, they said when that girl came, she was very chubby and very outgoing. Then she entered J1. She was now in boarding school. And people within the area was like, because she's now in J1, she's now forming big girl. Yeah. She started keeping to herself. She just lost it. So people just say, oh, it's as a result of the fact that she has entered secondary school. They didn't know that something was eating her up. She was facing sexual abuse and she was already having an infection. It was a teacher in the school that was, she did not, in fact, they said when they questioned her again, she was willing to die than for her to open up about that particular thing. The teacher noticed that whenever she's sitting there in class, she doesn't sit properly. The teacher would tell her, sit properly. She would just bend her body because she was having pain. At the end of the day, when this girl was able to open up, they got her treated. And so what I'm trying to say is that sometimes teachers should be trained for them to identify the early warning signs. Another thing is that the schools can do, another role schools can play is that they should kind of provide a safe space for the children to express themselves. Okay. When teenagers, one thing about teenagers is that you may think they are not sensible. Teenagers are, they are like you. In fact, sometimes they may be more knowledgeable than you as an adult.
Because
not
they are more exposed
to
information.
There are things, yes, you are right. Sometimes you tell them you know nothing, but they know some things that you don't know as an adult, because maybe you know your academics, you know the bookwork, but they know streets and stuff like that. So one thing that teenagers can know if you are not a trustworthy person. So if, for instance, this teenager know that if I walk up to this teacher and tell them what I'm going through, the next day they're going to table it in the staff room, they won't walk up to you. So just imagine if the school environment is toxic and most of the teachers, they talk about the student, a student shared something with you in confidence, then you decide to go and share that thing with another teacher, and the student didn't tell you that, okay, I want you to help, because there are times I've done that. There are times when I was in the educational sector, some teenagers would bring an issue to me. I'll tell them that this issue, I know that I can't help you, but I can refer you to somebody that I trust, that I know can help you. With their permission, I do that. If they say, okay, I just want it to be between us, I also keep it between us. So if you, as an educator, at the end of the, let's say a child confided in you about something they are struggling with, they trusted you to that extent, and you went to expose or kind of maybe, or you criticize them or you judge them about it, you are not just only, the thing is that you are also injuring that child. They will find it difficult to trust others. So it's not just about that particular incident. Furthermore, that child do not want to open up to another person, because they'll begin to view all adults like that. They will find it difficult before they'll be able to overcome that particular struggle. So another thing that schools can do is that they should look for ways on how to support teenagers that are going through mental health issues, kind of so that the issue will not escalate.
Thank you so much, Abigail. Before we go on our last break for the show, I would like to ask Isioma, what are the coping skills that teenagers, can be taught to manage stress and emotions?
Okay.
Are there practical skills that we can teach teenagers to apply whenever they're faced with such mental health challenges? Quickly.
Okay, so some of the coping skills that they can use is one that has to do with relaxation. Everywhere is so tense. In schools, I marvel when people tell me that they have like 8 hours classes in like secondary school and there are no breaks. And even during the breaks are such that you are still within the same pressurized environment. So one of the
change of environment.
Yes. So one of the things that they can do is to introduce things like sports. Back into schools.
Leisure.
Yes, leisure, where the children can actually relax. And also, they could actually create materials that these children can actually read, because knowledge is power. So many of the times what we see is we focus so much on the academics without providing that practical environment where they can actually see this thing work. Even having peer groups of friends where you can actually get, like, it works. There are times where we want to introduce an intervention and then we just mentor a particular teenager, send that one into a group, and that one mentors their fellow teenagers. It's easier when they are talking to themselves than when there's an adult who is. So there are times, even when I want to hold discussions with teenagers, I'll just tell them, forget the anti-part, all of us, we 9 day here, and then there's no judgment and anything like that, so they are able to cope. Then finally, when it comes to the issue of coping, it's something that you practice step by step. It
Okay.
doesn't come once. So what one person can take is different from what another person can tolerate. Well, but you celebrate your wins little by little as you go along.
Celebrate your wins little by little as you go along. Life is step by step. Well, it's still Flip Side on Independent Television, and we shall be going on this very last break. Yeah, welcome back. It's still Flip Side on Independent Television. This is the final lap of the program, and this is the point where you get to advise parents, adults out there who have teenagers that are dealing with mental health challenges. So, Isioma, let me begin with you. What's your final word, and what's your advice for such people?
So if you have one, whether close to you, your neighbor, friend, who is having mental health challenges, just know that it's just like any other challenge that can come.
Okay.
It's very critical that you get help early, so that it doesn't actually make the person lose a lot of time in life. One, it's very important that you create a healthy support system, because when it comes to anything mental, more than the medicines, more than whatsoever any professional can tell you, a healthy support system helps every
When you
therapy.
say healthy support system, you mean
The parents,
personnel?
the people around them.
Okay.
Not create, there are times when they just put this person aside, no, this one is a forgotten case. No, create the environment and help them thrive. Like I said, celebrate their wins. When they make little progress, let them see that they are making progress.
And reward them too.
And reward them too. And then also, if you really want us to deal with this issue of mental health challenges, we must break stigma. We must break stigma. It's okay for a child to have lost a year because he had one or two challenges, but that's not enough to mark that child as a child who has mental illness, and for the rest of the life, the child is tolling along that line because of that single episode. We must break the stigma. It starts with me, it starts with the school, it starts with the churches, it starts with the parents also. So everybody must work together to ensure that, irrespective of whatsoever challenge any child has when it has to do with their mental health, we must break that stigma and know that they are part of the society and help them to integrate. Even if it's substance abuse, there are a lot of people that have been into substance abuse, but right now they are championing the things, that the interventions that has to do with fighting against drug abuse. If those persons have been put aside, what now happens? But we need to break that stigma. Thank you.
We need to break the stigma. Now, Abigail, what's your final word of advice for parents, that have teenagers going through challenges of mental health? In less than a minute, if possible.
Okay, less than a minute. Okay, the advice I'll give to parents is that parents should spend more time. Spending time with your children, your teenagers cannot be overemphasized. When they get to that particular stage, some parents just feel, oh, they can do this by themselves, so we should spend time with them. Sometimes they might not even want to talk. Your teenager, when they were younger, you see that they will ask you multiple questions. In fact, when they see that you are busy, that's the time they want to come and disturb you. But you just suddenly realize that now that they are not teenagers, 13, 14, 15, they will just come back from school, drop their bag. They might not even ask, they will just enter their room, eat the food, they will just close the door. But in as much as they may keep to themselves, because teenagers are known to be kind of secretive. The thing is that even if they keep to themselves, you should try to also draw them closer. Deep down, they want you to make the move. So validate their feelings. There are times they will discuss certain things with you. It doesn't mean that you will just begin to criticize them, you just begin to yell, or you just begin to oppose their view. Sometimes hear their view, then in a kind of, subtle way, there's a way you can tell them, okay, this thing shouldn't be like this. I feel it is far better if it is like this, or if it is done in this particular way. Validate their feelings, listen to them. Listening is very important. I think that's where a lot of us parents or even adults that have teenagers around us will miss it. Listening is a skill. Learn to listen. A lot of us, we talk, and we don't even listen. And when a teenager notices that you are not paying attention to what they are saying at that particular crucial stage, they will just begin to, in fact, they may even seek the wrong person to get advice or motivation from. So we should learn to listen. Then we should also counsel them in a way that is not judgmental. We should kind of adopt a non-judgmental approach, validate their feelings, affirm them, get to know their love language, spend time with them. Sometimes just drop the phone, just interact with them. So it's very important for us to do that.
Thank you so much, ladies, for your very brilliant analysis. It's been such an amazing and interesting conversation so far, safeguarding teens' mental health. I'm hoping that the parents and adults out there have learned so much from what you guys have said so far. I have learned a whole lot, and I'm hoping that, just like they say, talk is cheap. We've done the talking. We hope that they're able to put to practice everything that has been said so far. Big thank you once again for being on the show with me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I'm hoping that next time you'll be able to do me the honor again of being with me on the show.
I'll try.
All right, it's been Flipside on Independent Television, and we've been talking about safeguarding the mental health of teenagers. Well, just like I said in opening, the mind is the engine room of the body. So if you can't safeguard it, then it's only a matter of time before the body, follows suit. So it's very important that we safeguard our mental health, not just the mental health of teenagers, even as adults. Okay, it cuts across. Let's safeguard our mental health. My name is Harry Igboje, and until I come your way again, same time, same station next week, do the right thing, stay out of trouble, and bye for now.
ITV, certainly the best.
Omonoba Nedu Ukwakolopolo, Ewai II, Oba of Benin, stepped out majestically with loud crowd to perform the Soto rites of his late mother, Queen Mother Ioba Omoni Ikoyeme, Ioba Ewai II, who departed this world 49 years ago. Isoton is a traditional rite of the procession in memory of the departed person's spirit in Benin Kingdom. It is usually heralded by public display of the departed person's influence during their sojourn on earth. The display of a human effigy symbolizing the departed royal matriarch was preceded by the Oba of Benin, who led the procession from his palace to the Immortan Shrine at King Square in Benin City, where he offered prayers for the repose of the soul of the Queen Mother, Ioba Ewai II. Thereafter, the priest assigned to the immortal shrine offered Oba Ewai the second items for Isoton on behalf of his family. However, Chok, known as Uri, represented a mixture from royal fans after such